I've never been the type of person who had issues with the dentist. I'd go in for a cleaning, get the usual lecture about flossing, and then be out the door and on my way. Nothing unusual. But recently, I found myself in need of a new dentist. My regular guy retired, and his office sent me a list of highly recommended replacements. After a bit of Googling, I picked one nearby, Dr. Albert in the heart of town. His reviews seemed solid, and his office had a professional website. That was enough for me. I remember the first time I walked into his office. The place was a little too clean, if you know what I mean. The walls were stark white, and everything gleamed like it was brand new. The receptionist, a pale woman with tired eyes, barely looked at me when she handed me the paperwork. "Fill these out. He'll see you soon," she said flatly. No chit-chat, no friendly banter like I was used to. Just business. Whatever, I thought. Maybe they're just efficient. Maybe she's had a long day. We've all got our own problems after all. The last thing she needs is me making some snide comment about her being rude. I barely had time to sit down before they called me back. That was my first red flag. No wait? At a dentist's office? That was unheard of. But I shrugged it off. Maybe they had a light schedule that day. Dr. Albert was a tall, thin man with an unsettling smile. There was something off about his teeth. Too perfect. Too symmetrical. They were almost unnatural. Ironic, I know. His handshake was cold, clammy, and his fingers lingered a bit too long when we exchanged greetings. "Ah, you're the new patient. We'll take good care of you," he said, flashing that eerie smile again. His voice was soft, almost soothing, but something in the way he spoke made my stomach turn. The checkup itself was uneventful, except for the fact that I blacked out. I don't mean I fell asleep out of boredom or fatigue. I mean I was sitting in the chair, staring up at the harsh fluorescent lights, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up in my car. The clock on the dash said 2 hours had passed. I didn't remember leaving the office. Hell, I didn't even remember paying. I tried not to think too much about it, chalking it up to stress or exhaustion. I'd been working long hours lately. Maybe I was just overtired. But the next morning, there was a message from Dr. Albert's office on my phone. It read, "We noticed some potential issues during your cleaning yesterday. We'd like to schedule a follow-up as soon as possible. Please call us back to set an appointment." It felt off. I'd never had a dentist insist on a follow-up so soon after a routine cleaning. And why didn't they tell me this when I was there? I thought about it. I guess my gums had been sore lately, and I figured maybe there was something wrong. So, I called them back and scheduled another visit for the following week. The second appointment was even stranger. I blacked out again. This time, it happened when Dr. Albert was halfway through inspecting my gums. One moment I was sitting there, his cold tools prodding at my mouth, and the next, I was in the reception area, holding a small bottle of mouthwash they'd apparently given me. I didn't remember getting up, walking out, or anything in between. Just in case I hadn't made it clear, this was not normal for me. I've never experienced anything like this before. But, again, I shrugged it off. It had to be all the stress of my job, right? Dr. Albert's voice rang in my head as I left. "We'll need to see you again soon. Your gums are a bit more sensitive than expected. Let's schedule something for next week." Next week. That was way too soon. Normally, I'd only see a dentist every 6 months, unless something was seriously wrong. But he was the professional, and I didn't feel like arguing. So I agreed. I pondered maybe bringing up the blacking out to Dr. Albert, or seeing a doctor. But I've never been one to make a fuss of anything. I figured it would stop on its own eventually. But it didn't. Each visit was the same. Each time, I blacked out for longer periods, and each time, they called me back sooner. I'd wake up disoriented, groggy, and with a strange sensation in the back of my throat. It felt like something was stuck back there, but no matter how much I swallowed or tried to clear my throat, the feeling wouldn't go away. At first, I thought it was just anxiety, maybe a side effect of whatever they were doing during the procedures. But then it started getting worse. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, gasping for air, my throat feeling tighter, as though something was lodged deep inside. It wasn't long before I noticed the lump. I was brushing my teeth one night when I felt something with the back of my tongue in my throat. I grabbed a flashlight and angled it into the mirror, trying to get a better look. My heart skipped a beat when I saw it. There was something white, just barely visible at the very back of my throat. At first, I thought it was just plaque or a piece of food stuck back there. But the more I looked, the more I realized that it wasn't food. It was a tooth. I gagged, nearly dropping my phone. I couldn't be seeing this right. Teeth don't grow in the back of your throat. I spent hours online trying to find anything that could explain what I'd seen. But nothing made sense. No condition, no rare genetic disorder. Nothing explained it. I called Dr. Albert's office the next day. I wanted answers. But when I spoke to the receptionist, she was evasive. "Dr. Albert is... He's very busy right now," she said. "We'll have to call you back to schedule your next appointment." My next appointment? I didn't want another appointment. I wanted to know what the fuck was going on. But they never called back. Days passed, and the lump in my throat kept growing. It was at a point where I couldn't eat properly. I couldn't sleep without waking up gasping for breath. And worst of all, I kept blacking out. even when I wasn't at the dentist. I knew something was wrong. Really wrong. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I broke into Dr. Albert's office. It wasn't hard, honestly. The place didn't have much in the way of security. I smashed the window and unlocked the main door. The doors to the back rooms were already unlocked, and it only took a few minutes of searching before I found what I was looking for. My patient files. But when I opened the folder, my blood ran cold. The notes were detailed. Too detailed. Every visit, every blackout, every sensation I described was meticulously documented. And then there were diagrams, sketches of my mouth, my gums, my throat. And in the back, stapled to the last page, was a small, handwritten note. Subject responding well to experimental implantations. New molars have successfully taken root in the throat cavity. Further tests needed to assess long-term viability. Recommended course. Continue observation. Schedule appointments in closer intervals. I couldn't breathe. I flipped through the other files on the desk, finding similar notes for other patients, diagrams of teeth, sketches of throats, each one marked with strange symbols and annotations, and in every one, the same chilling phrase: implantation successful. I didn't need to read anymore. I grabbed my things and got the hell out of there, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to go to the police, but what would I tell them? That my dentist was secretly implanting teeth in my throat? Huh, they'd think I was insane. Hell, I almost believe it myself. Almost. But that lump in my throat, it's still there. I can feel it growing. I don't know why they've done this, but I'm terrified of what might happen if I don't get it out. I haven't been back to a dentist since. I don't know if I ever will. But if you're reading this, do yourself a favor. Research your dentist thoroughly. Ask questions. Be careful, because you never know what kind of experiments they might be running behind those two perfect smiles. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep in the chair.